Welcome back, everybody, to Card Art in Sunnyvale, California. Optimus Tom still joined by Frenchie here. We're jumping into round number 2 of our 4-round Pioneer end of the month Tuesday stream. So it is going to be 2 different decks that we saw on stream. One we actually saw last week, and one that we have not seen so far.
Yeah, and this one's one that you have some experience with.
Yeah.
So I was able to chat with Duncan earlier before, who was on the Naya Combo deck that we saw last week that was making a lot of tokens. Turns out your Mayhem Devils were shutting him off completely, so we want to give them a second shot on stream to show what the cool combo is.
Oops.
I'm gonna go ahead and let them know that they can get started. If you want to pull up the screen and we can see what's going on.
Yeah, so we have Duncan going to be over on the left. He is on the Naya Infinite Combo deck, which, as Frenchie mentioned, is making a lot of treasure tokens, and unfortunately could not do that when I was playing Rakdos Sacrifice last week. However, he is going to be going up against David, his opponent on the right, who is going to be playing something a little bit more traditional in the fact that it is a red deck wins deck with the red sleeves, making it as thematic as possible.
I mean, red players, they let you know that they're doing it, and they're going to do it really quick, really fast. So this could be a quick one. Or, hopefully Duncan's able to control the board enough. We do know that he's got a lot of early plays, which is nice. So hopefully he can set up some blockers and all that good stuff.
And there's a lot of incidental life gain in Duncan's list, too, which is very annoying for a Rakdos Sacrifice deck to play against. However, David on the play is doing what red decks do on the play, which is swinging very fast, very early for one with a Monastery Swift Spear.
Yeah, and this is a card that I think both of us are going to have to read, both David and us. I am unsure of who this guy is, but they're pretty cool, I guess.
I want to say it's an elf. This is the fun part where you always wind up going like, okay, well, this is like one. I believe this is one of those elves that like when it comes, you go, like, use it to tap for mana. Like it does a bunch of things. This Citadel Stalwart, that is the name of the card.
So this is just another Jaspera Sentinel.
Yeah, it's Jaspera Sentinel, but Brothers War, so it has a more complicated, old thematic lore name.
And can tap artifacts too, which is kind of sick when you have the treasures. Especially when you're just sacking them to Magda for the ability and not for mana.
We also know that there's a bunch of vehicles in Duncan's decks. If you're not attacking or blocking with the vehicles, you can basically turn any of them into like the Caravan from Old Kaladesh that taps for a Birds of Paradise amount of mana. So that just having a 1/1 does not have the 2 toughness on the backside of it, though. So that is going to be a little unfortunate. And it does look like that there was a little bit of burn damage coming through in the format of a play with fire. So Duncan goes down to 17. This allows Light Up the Stage to get cast here by David, looking potentially for some extra lands, but this is also a couple of extra damage coming across due to those prowess triggers from the Monastery Swift Spear.
Yep. And we already have Amara Holy Chord coming in, which we're going to be able to tap for a dude right away, which then means that we're going to be getting a lifelinker in play, which is great for staving off some of the damage. We do have 2 spectacular cards in exile from David, so getting a lifelinker in play to block that Swift Spear and hopefully not die first. Oh, wait, did you see David's hand? David's hand is pure burn.
So, yeah, definitely digging for lands there. Now we see the follow-up Jaspera Sentinel. So there's mana aplenty on the side of Duncan. So this represents untapping, 5 mana next turn, which could be something very large. But David is representing maybe not getting an extra turn, as we do have the Slick Shot show off, the boogeyman of the format. It is not plotted, however. It is just exiled with the Light Up the Stage. So we are going to need an additional mana here from David to start letting that burn rip.
Yeah, I think if David didn't find a land, I think we're just playing the Slick Shot show off, since it is such a spectacular card in the deck, and just passing turn, because it's we kind of need the burn to go through next turn.
Yeah, but if the burn does go through next turn, that is a lot of burn, and it looks like tapping for mana here, Duncan just gets an additional lifelink token, the soldier token coming out from Amara, tapping all 5 mana and going to be playing Tolsimir, Friend of Wolves. That's not what you want to see from David's side.
Yeah, so the Tolsimir represents 3 life going up from Voya or Voha coming in, and is probably fighting that Slick Shot show off.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so that is one way to take out the flying bird that grows in infinitesimal amount of power, is just fighting it, gaining some life back up to 17. And Duncan is in a really solid spot now. Look at this giant board state that this Naya deck has presented on turn 3.
Yeah,
Or 4.
this is.
Yeah.
Oh no, this is turn 3.
Oh, this is turn 3. Yeah, I'm sorry. David missed.
David's
one land
about
drop,
to be
not
on
2
turn
land
4.
drops. This is turn 3. Like, this was annoying because I have a little bit of experience playing against Duncan last week, and when the board looked like this on like turn 3 and 4, I just kind of was like, what do I do? Like, what do you do if you're David and you're an aggressive deck that stalled on mana till now, and you got rid of your best card?
Yeah, it's a bit rough here, but I believe we saw 2 Wizard's Lightnings and a Play with Fire, so we do have some burn to be able to get rid of some of these creatures to hopefully chip in some damage. That Swift Spear is going to get quite big, and I believe now the Lava Runner also has haste.
Yeah, so Lava Runner can be a 2/2 with haste. This 1 prowess trigger Monastery Swift Spear is now a 2/3, and if there is an additional Wizard's Lightning, you can clear away the Voha, which is a 3/3 wolf, but then you wind up using all your burn on creatures.
Yeah, this is an interesting spot here. We know that the Lava Runner isn't going to get big enough. I think David was probably trying to bait out the block on the Swift Spear, so that way he could grow the Swift Spear and not have to kill the creature directly, but we're just passing here. I actually think holding up the 3 damage for a possible combo card is not the worst idea.
Yeah, David also has a Play with Fire in hand, so may have been kind of debating, do I Play with Fire and trade and then get 1 additional damage through, but that 1 additional damage doesn't look great when there's 2 1/1 lifelinkers on the opposing side as well. And 3 1/1 lifelinkers after tapping this Amara for an Amana this turn as well.
And we got a Fable coming in, which our board's getting so big, the Fable isn't even on camera anymore.
Yeah, the Fable is a Fable. It's just it's not even able to be presented on the screen anymore because of how mythical it is. But large board from Duncan. And I know Duncan's deck is labeled as a Naya Infinite Combo, but working as a token mana generating machine looks to just be good enough in a lot of these circumstances.
Yeah, it's kind of wild that the backup plan for this combo deck is actually just a go wide token strategy.
And it might be better than the main plan, considering I still haven't seen anything play from Duncan's deck.
Yeah, I mean, when I chatted with him earlier, he alluded to needing to sacrifice 15 treasures for the combo to work.
Okay, well, that's not good into a Mayhem deck. However, it is still pretty good against some of these other decks, but still just kind of opting to go for the aggressive angle here. Does a bit of life trading here, gets 6 damage across to David, goes up to himself. And now we'll have to see what David can kind of draw himself out of this scenario. And I mean, you're probably still looking at plot, slick shot, show off, have a very big explosive turn. But what does red deck have against board?
Yeah, I think the only thing David can hope for is because we have 3 cards in hand. This turn, plot a slick shot, show off, and pass. Next turn, have 3 burn spells going face. And a slick shot show off going face for probably 23 damage.
That's a big hope here, but it is going to start off instead with a Soul Scar Mage, which means that we know Wizard's Lightning, Play with Fire, and this Soul Scar Mage with the cards in hand. So now we have a little bit of room to play here because we do have the ability to shrink things down with this non-combat damage.
Yep.
And it looks like David is just going to start going after the big things from Duncan's side. Gets rid of the Wolf token, gets rid of the Amara to stop making these life linkers. We have 2 prowess triggers now on this Monastery Swift Spear. So it's going to wind up being 3 damage it could get across. But
yeah,
we have 4 power of blocking on Duncan's side.
I will take the 3.
Yeah, but it looks like we are just deciding to take 3, so that way we're not losing any of our creatures, especially that Goblin Shaman token, which represents additional mana, additional treasure generation, which once we do get the Magdas is going to be very powerful. And conveniently, I believe we have a second Amara in hand.
Second Amara looks like a showcase card from New Capenna. Could be Ginny Faye, which is one of the engine creations here from the Duncan deck.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's who is the one that tutors.
Oh, Rocco.
Yeah, Rocco.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be
Rocco.
surprised if it's a Rocco, because a Rocco for 2 is just going to get Magda into play, and then you can start doing crazy stuff.
3.
So it looks like a lot of mana coming into play here. It looks like there was a bit of shock damage coming across as well. And ooh, lots of things being tapped for mana here.
Yeah, it looks like we have 6 floating.
I shall play Zeotor the Incinerator.
Zeotor.
Wait, Zeotora?
End of
So there's your treasure generation and some damage. Boy, this is fun to see.
At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, Zeotor the Incinerator deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target and you create 3 treasure tokens. All right, I'm starting to see the treasure synergies here now for Duncan's deck.
Yep, and you know, a 6/6 flyer is a pretty good clock against red deck wins. That threat in the air now just dies.
Nope, can't do anything. And now you gotta hope that you have like, you kind of go runner into like monstrous rage on top of your slingshot show off to try to maybe trample some meaningful damage over before it hits the bin. But David with 1 card in hand just plays a Monastery Whisper off the top, and even looks like maybe just a 2-turn clock here from Duncan's side.
Yeah, I think David at this point knows it's not going well for him, but has decided that he just wants to see what Duncan's deck is doing before scooping it up, because I'm pretty sure we're in garbage time right now. Duncan's just got to close it out.
This is a main deck Surge of Salvation from Duncan as well.
Which I think is smart, given how much red and black is in the format. Like, think about it. Every single top deck in the format is red or black, except for mono green.
Yep, that's true. And so we're just going to see Amara, Soul of the Accord coming down again, tap it for some mana, make another token, do a little song, a little dance, and Duncan looked like he just all but kind of dotted his I's and crossed his T's at this point as to locking up this game.
Yeah. I'm just looking at his pile of tokens.
Yeah, there's
a lot.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is a Maskwood Nexus?
Well, yeah, you got to make everything a dwarf, right?
All right, is the main draw to playing Maskwood Nexus legitimately just making everything dwarves to make treasures in this deck?
So here's the thing. It's tutorable with Magda once you get 5 treasures.
Oh, that's
and then
good.
you make everything a dwarf, which with all of your dorks that are tapping other things for mana can make a lot more treasures, which you can then sack for more things out of your deck, say the Zeotora.
Which is a dragon.
Yeah, which happens to be a dragon. Possibly a Terror of the Peaks. I don't know what the rest of the top end is, but holy crap, this is funky and really cool.
Yeah, and then after you potentially make a bunch of tokens, Terror of the Peaks things down, if that is what's in the deck, you can just fling it for the remaining lethal amounts of damage. But it does look like with everything being swung in, David is probably going to be going down to 5.
Nope, we are going down to 0.
Going down to 0 with that one. So game number 1 going on over to Duncan and the Naya Infinite deck, which definitely did a lot of good stuff that game.
Yeah, I like this a lot. Oh yeah, and we got the Fable going off the entire time off the screen because, you know, there was just too much on the playmat.
So we had the additional discarding and drawing going on from Duncan's side. So maybe the infinite part of Duncan's deck isn't the combo and just the amount of space he uses on the feature match table.
Wouldn't be a surprise though, because Lord. And honestly, I don't know what Duncan's sideboard is.
Yeah, I was going to have you guess what he's going to try to bring in here. I know from experience that he has a sideboard pivot, which does not look like he needs to do this game.
Yeah, it looks like with the red deck wins, he's got enough blockers to be able to save off early damage and then be able to just inevitably combo off and put in a big dragon to win. On the flip side, I'm pretty sure David has some anti-life gain cards, which could be very impactful given just how much life gain Duncan's list happens to have. I could definitely see a Ferocidon coming in, possibly even a Skullcrack, which would be pretty sick.
Ooh, Ferocidon seems like a really good card because that would also kind of nip the little token generation angle in the bud too, because all of a sudden instead of gaining life, you're taking damage for those.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Ferocidon is a slam dunk if that is in the sideboard to come in. However, you only have so many, and the red deck doesn't draw many cards. So you might not see it games 2 or 3, but, you know, just at least put it in, try and see if you can grab that answer. And, you know, there's probably just a handful of other really powerful effects, because we also have I wouldn't be surprised to see a Rolling Vortex either, actually.
Ooh, yeah, if that's in the sideboard, you can always just tap that, prevent the life gain from coming in, and then if you are kind of playing things from exile, it's going to wind up doming somebody for some damage. I don't know if Rocco puts it into play or if it puts it into your hand. It puts it directly
into play.
Okay, so that I think that works with the Roiling Vortex, right?
Yeah. So it's put directly into play. It's kind of like one of those like Court of Calling effects. Reason why I know this is because I remember people trying to just say in CEDH they were just like, oh, 5 mana Dockside in the command zone.
Oh no. Most importantly, though, it is just going to be a consistent clock as well if the Roiling Vortex is in there, being able to just deal 1 damage every upkeep. That could very much be very powerful to kind of put the last little bits of damage through on the Duncan side with the life gain being shut off. But we'll have to see what David decides to do. There are a couple of artifact options that the mono red deck has too. I don't think like pithing needles are going to be super effective against what Duncan's trying to do. David, we know that Duncan has vehicles in his deck. David saw 0 of them that game, so I don't think there's going to be any sort of artifact destruction coming in either. So we'll see. David is going to wind up being on the playing game number 2. They were on the playing game number 1 as well, but they did stumble on lands. And if the red deck has that 3rd land and has that pop-off turn with that burns in hand, we might be looking at a different story, even though Duncan was able to put a 5-drop into play on turn 3.
Yeah, that. When you say 5-drop on turn 3, I'm just like thinking, oh yeah, that's a devotion thing. But apparently more than just devotion can do that. Definitely David needs that fast start.
Devotion to tokens from Duncan's side might be a way to kind of describe the deck, but we'll see if David is able to capitalize on being on the play and capitalize on the speed of his deck. If Duncan is going to kind of stutter a little bit, or if David goes after those mana generating creatures, we might be in a little bit of a different scenario. So we'll see if maybe David reassesses the threats on table. I'm going to steal the color commentary part for a second because I released a video going over my match against Duncan, and in game number 2 I threw the game away by leaving a Jaspara Sentinel on the board instead of fatal pushing it in time, and I'm gonna see if David kind of recognizes what I did, which is bolt the bird.
Yeah, please always bolt the bird.
There it is. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. The Jaspara Sentinel on turn 1 comes out here from Duncan, and we'll see if David wants to try to do something. There's a Slick Shot show off in hand, though, so we could wind up doing...
There's actually a lot of great cards in hand right now, because you also have a Kumano, I think.
Yeah, so we could see Kumano followed up next turn by Slick Shot show off. We could see maybe some other threats being deployed and the Kumano coming down on board. Lots of things that are possible here from David, but we'll see what the play is, because there's always the opportunity of trying to deal combat damage to get rid of this Jaspara Sentinel, and Hidden Reach on Jaspara Sentinel is just going to kind of bounce the Slick Shot show off of it.
Yeah, I think Dave was like, I don't want to throw in another creature, but okay, yeah. Looks like they're just chatting. The homie move, Duncan's going to let him swing for an additional 1 to make sure that he does get that damage across. But yeah, Hidden Reach.
Gotta read. So Duncan will wind up going down, and there's the Magda. So we have the ability to generate extra mana now.
Yeah, so this play represents basically 2 more mana. So while yes, you are tapping a creature, this is basically a Burning Tree Emissary.
So we see the play being made here to play the Magda out and then tap it for a mana to make a treasure token, and then follow it up with Gala Greeters.
I love
this card.
Yeah, I was even thinking, like, when I was obvious tangent. We've been talking a lot about the cat food combo deck that with Aggro and 2 Cauldron Familiars. We can definitely chat about that a bit later. I was thinking about this card in that deck because you just get treasure tokens, you get some life gain, and you're putting creatures into play all the time.
All the time.
So it's not a terrible card. It could be interesting in the deck, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of damage this turn. David might have one of those great pop-off red deck wins turns. We have a Kumano starting us off, but let's see what else he's got.
Yeah, so Kumano comes across, winds up bopping for 1 damage, and then that's going to proc a light up the stage. So we have a bunch of prowess triggers, or pseudo prowess, and that's a monstrous rage. That's a lot of damage.
So that rage is probably going on the show off, because that's going to represent a ton of damage.
So the casting Monstrous Rage is going to basically give that Slick Shot show up an effective +5/+1 and trample. And also there's no Hidden Reach available right now, but even then it's still kind of trampling over. So let's see here. We've had the Kumano being cast. We've had Light Up the Stage.
So this is 10 damage.
So much. Is that 10 damage total, or 10 damage from just the Slick Shot
show off? You have another, I think it's another 3 coming in from the, or no, 4 coming in from the Soulscar Mage.
Yeah, so that's an additional, 14 damage altogether.
And are going all the way down to,
that's 12 damage, I guess, because Prowess is instant or sorcery, right? Non-creature?
No, it is non-creature spell. I think, yeah, because the... where you might have missed the 2, but it's fine. I mean, David has lethal next turn anyway, so.
No, David basically just has everything he could possibly want. If there's any burn spells in hand, a Wizard's Lightning per se, that is lethal, trampling over the Jaspara Sentinel. But now Duncan kind of is in a little bit of a pickle because you need to think, okay, does Duncan have an additional mana? We see a Tolsimir, Friend of Wolves, but no, Volcanic Spite instead coming out. That's going to deal 3 damage and get rid of that Slick Shot Show Off. That's going to potentially put something into...
I think we spied a Ziatora going to the bottom, which is a great use of that card, and I think Duncan was also looking for a land.
Yep. So you wanted to find a land, so now we have potentially... 2 mana because you can, or 3 mana because you can tap, make a treasure token with the Magda. So that would be 3 potential mana for maybe another removal spell to clear the board. It could wind up being something to play an additional blocker.
I was gonna say the Sentinel coming in would be great because any pesky show-offs coming from hand, that'll get blocked this turn.
And we'll see. Gaining 2 life from the Gala Greeters happens here as well. So one of those alliance modes have been triggered. And then, Magda getting aggressive here to make the token instead, leaving back as many blockers as possible because David could potentially play some hasty Monastery Swift Spears, and we may want to keep around some extra toughness to block.
Exactly. Or, just like doing stuff at instant speed with the Sentinel, because now you're representing, I believe, 3 mana. And, did you see a peek at what he had in hand?
No, I did not.
It was a Tolsimir and a Seeker's Chariot.
That's
a couple of great cards here. Both of those are putting two creatures on the board to prevent the go wide from doing much.
So David just going to be playing Soulscar Mage and passing. Saw there was a Ramanump Ruins in hand from him as well. Don't know if that's the only card that David had left in hand, but this Gala Greeter's life gain, this gummed up board state, the Volcanic Spite at the right time, David might just be stuck not getting enough damage through fast enough again.
Yeah, definitely getting the Slick Shot Show Off down early was going to be the way to close it out, but Duncan had, again, as you said, the removal spell at the right time. So I'm intrigued to see what Duncan decides to do here. Looks like we are making some mana with the Sentinel and the Magda.
Probably, let's see.
It looks like we're at 4 right now.
4?
And we're not using either treasure. However, with the treasures and the additional Sentinel, we have another 3 mana after this, which is pretty crazy.
It looks like Duncan and David just going over where the second treasure came from, which was when Magda attacked, because whenever Magda is tapped or Dwarf is tapped, you wind up making that extra treasure token, and it looks like this is going to be Ginny Fey after all. So Ginny Fey makes her appearance in this deck.
This deck is full of surprises and full of new Capenna cards, which is pretty spicy.
Okay. So Ginny Fey, whenever you create 1 or more tokens, you can instead create that many 2/2 green cats with haste, or that many 3/1 dogs with vigilance. Vigilance, really good against the red deck, playing the offense and defense at the same time.
Yeah, though 1 toughness is a bit rough in case the red deck does run any of those Spikefield hazards, which we know that they like to tend to run them pretty frequently. But we also have the Seeker's Chariot coming out here. Once again, really big board here.
And now the most important question here, Frenchie, that I really do have to ask, as Duncan does gain 2 life from the Gala Graders as well, is do you keep the cats, or are you a dog person?
So I'm personally a dog person. However, here, 2 cats with haste might actually be better than 2 vanilla cats.
Did you know that those cat tokens are Duncan's girlfriend's cat?
Oh, that's
adorable.
So cute.
And now you feel bad about wanting to make them dogs, don't you? No.
No. I said I was preferring the cats with haste.
The cats with haste. Okay, that would be something a little bit different. But it looks like, yep, just going to be passing the turn back over. And now Duncan has presented literally a Naya green wall of things to kind of stymie anything that David could potentially do here. We are going to get a flip Kamano. We know there's a Ramanump Ruins in hand. So if we wind up finding maybe like Slick Shot Show Off into Light Up the Stage, Monstrous Rage or something, that could be an angle to go here. It looks like instead might have been an additional Soulscar Mage, I believe was the draw from David.
Yeah, Soulscar Mage it's a great card, don't get me wrong, but it always kind of, that and the what's our other one drop friend?
Monastery Swift Spear.
Well,
Gitu
the
Lava
other,
Runner.
yeah,
The
Lava
other
Runner.
wizard.
Yeah, the other wizard. Those always feel like, unfortunately, the weak links in the deck. It's not like they're terrible cards, but definitely when you compare power level to, a Kumano, a Monastery Spear, our big bird friend in the sky, all of them do so much more damage, and they're great support cards, and they make sure your wizard's lightnings are turned on pretty frequently, but, the lack of haste really hurts.
And it looks like that there was an additional cat that was made. I'm not sure if that was from the Gala Greeters Alliance trigger, if that was from Magda being tapped, but there's a second Gala Greeters coming into play here. So now we're going to be able to make a tap treasure token. We could turn that into a cat if we want to, thanks to Ginny Faye, but it does look like that it is instead just going to make the tap treasure token. So Duncan is on the fact that double-digit life is fine. I don't think I'm in burn range at any point in time with one card in hand. And now let's see if Duncan decides to do treasure shenanigans.
Yep. We don't have a way to make 5 treasures just yet, but it looks like right now what we're trying to do is just crew the chariot and tap and copy more tokens, continue to make a white board. And we know that there's that Tolsmir in hand as the only last bit of gas. I'm sure that that's just hanging tight for the next show-off that comes into play, and we're always keeping up a Sentinel or 2 as a blocker.
So Duncan going to just be creating an additional cat with this Asika's Chariot attack trigger that is going to proc Alliance and gain 2 life from the Gala Greeters that entered, procking the other Gala Greeters. That is also going to be making an additional treasure token, and then Magda makes a treasure token as well. So this deck engine is firing on all cylinders, but we might not even need it to end this game out at this point. Once again, Duncan's infinite deck is taking up infinite space in the feature match area.
Exactly.
I don't even know what to do.
Yeah, I think Duncan is just doing a really good job of just respecting the fact that the red deck might win out of nowhere, not attacking, and we have the ability to try and pop off next turn. So let's take a back seat and see what happens.
So Amara comes in. There's going to be double Gala Greeters, and we did wind up hearing David before as he played his Soulscar Mage kind of said, I don't know what to do here. And to be fair, I don't think all too many people do. So there's going to be the 5th treasure token. We are going to get Magda to spin the wheel, and we'll see which one winds up popping out. Is it the Maskwood Nexus? Is it going to be...
I definitely think it's a Maskwood Nexus here because now everything's a dwarf. And, overcrewing is a pretty good way to tap things.
So walk me through the overcrewing and what is going to happen here from this this Magda combo deck with Maskwood Nexus.
Okay, so while I don't know the finisher here, now that every creature in play is a dwarf, we can just tap them all to the Asika's Chariot to crew like 20 power. No one cares how much power. You're going to make a ton more treasures. And Duncan's presenting loop, he's going to have 2 more sacrifices of 5 treasures. He made 10 treasures. That's kind of crazy. So we're making 10 treasures here to get, I don't know what this card is off the top of my head, but remember, all the creatures in your deck are all creature types as well, which means every creature is also a dragon.
So you can tutor whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. It's that's the reason why Maskwood Nexus is always the first thing Magda tutors. And what's even crazier is that both of them were printed in the same set.
This is wild. So we're going to wind up having Ziatora wind up hitting the battlefield, and Rocco. It is Rocco. That's the card that also wound up being found.
Okay, so what happens? I crew a creature.
So this is going to wind up just creating a ton of things.
I think this is Rocco Street Chef, actually.
Is that what that one is? Let me double check here. There is like 900 alternate versions of these cards. So this Rocco it does look like it is, he's talking to somebody. So I think it's the Court of Calling Rocco, which I believe is Rocco Cabaretti Caterer. I think it's this one. David said, wait, hold on a second. Let me read what's going on here.
I think what's happening here is we are going to try and make a creature with infinitely big power.
This has power toughness equal to number of creatures, so I have
okay, so that's what's going on. We make a ton of creatures. We play a guy who's just massive. Like, your entire life total, and then at end step you fling it with Zeotora.
Oh, that's what's going on. So that's going to be good game. Duncan and his infinite deck winds up being an infinite kill combo for infinite damage, basically.
That's honestly pretty happy we got to actually see it go off. And